Hi everybody, welcome to our interview suite. So it's Navigating a Crisis, Conversations of Change. Before we go any further, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which you're watching this video. Pay respects to elders past, present and emerging, and also just to bring a real recognition to the value that Indigenous wisdom can bring at this point in time, not just by way of connecting in with Mother Earth, but also by way of resilience and hope and courage in the face of great adversity. So if there's anything we can do right now to connect with our Indigenous peoples and to learn from them, then I'd highly advocate that. But the interview suite that we're running, or this little project that we're running, is all around giving people an opportunity to share how they're managing and navigating this crisis, to learn from each other, to hopefully instill a sense of compassion, and also to just promote where people can have some agency and support other services and other sectors. And today we're lucky enough to have Julia Carroll, who is the manager of the AD program at Connexions, the Jesuit support services. So I'll let Julia introduce herself when we get started, but I'll just put the first question to you while I'm speaking. Is what are you currently doing, Julia, for yourself, your staff, the people that you serve, and the organisation more broadly, to manage this current situation safely, humanely, and with a real sense of dignity for everyone involved?
Great, thanks Naomi, and thanks for having us here. I also would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land and where we all are today, and really pay respects to elders past, present, and considering the position of our Indigenous First Nations people at this time, I think is, like you say, really critical. So yes, I am managing the Drug and Alcohol Mental Health Support Program at Jesuit Social Services, the Connexions program. We've got about a 22-year history working with young people with dual diagnosis concerns. So a lot of, evidence-based work that goes into the program, and a long history of just really hearing where young people are at and seeing what their needs are. And I think this time right now is no different to that. So I guess in terms of what our program response is, we really do see ourselves as an essential service at this time. And I guess we're really trying to provide a modified, nimble approach to service delivery that's in line with our normal flexibility that we try and provide in the program. So I guess one of our central focuses has been trying to keep with that culture of flexibility, person-centred, our relational approach to working with young people and engaging them in support. So I guess really recognising that there's varying needs across the young people that access our program, because it's primarily usually an outreach program, a lot of assertive outreach. They're contacting young people arriving at their premises, even finding them in different parts of community sometimes if they're not contactable. So obviously there's some real challenges in actioning some of that at the moment. So we've got a group of our staff who are still going out into community, meeting young people for very short periods of time. We try to keep our appointments to about 15 minutes in open aired spaces, not going into people's residence. But, still try and provide that relational contact for some really isolated, young people who have got a lot of risks associated at any given point in time, let alone during a heightened period in community like it is now. So for others who we know engage well or can engage over the phone, where we've really upped our support via phone, and for anyone who can access emails, and just doing lots of check-ins. So I guess we really see our role as, standing in solidarity with people who are more vulnerable in our community generally, but even more so right now. So yeah, we're really focusing on, continuing that relational support, providing emotional and psychological support to young people, as well as really trying to have a bit of a role in educating young people as to what's happening, who may not listen to a lot of, good information sources through the media or through government. So yeah, information sharing, have a bit of education role, and some harm in around substance use during times like this when there's health issues. Yeah.
And I think the usual harm minimisation messages are not really appropriate right now in terms of being with other people, staying connected, staying close. So it is how you still remain safe in a time like this. And how are young people responding? Like I think I've had varying degrees of people are becoming more connected or reaching out more to agencies, and other people are isolating further. What have you found with your?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a combination of both. You see, your young people who are withdrawing, others who are becoming, more heightened, more anxious, more vulnerable. There's issues in drug supply around community. There's concerns around getting out in community. But yeah, I think, look, young people who have been engaged in our program for a little while, we're a long-term support. So some of the young people we work with have been engaged, for 18 months or so. And so that relationship's already established and the trust is well in place. So I think that engagement continues well. But yeah, we're certainly seeing, some spikes in people's mental health presentations. And yeah, just general anxiety that I think as community are facing more generally. It certainly touches our cohort of young people quite significantly. I
think the consistency is really admirable, and I know most agencies are trying to continue with as much of a business as usual as they can do at this point in time. But particularly the outreach, where often you find the people who are most marginalised and most disadvantaged are the most impacted at times like this as well. So the fact that you're still able to go out, how are you managing staff safety with that?
Yeah, so like I say, we're trying to do just 15-minute appointments. We've created a prioritised support system so that it's only those who are highly vulnerable and isolated with quite high risks that we're seeing. So it is a much smaller number compared to our normal caseloads. Lots of cleanliness around cars. We're trying not to share vehicles, not having two staff in the vehicle. So even when we're doing the 2-up supports where we need to send 2 staff members out for safety reasons, we're taking 2 vehicles.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's, those kind of things are in place. We've got skeleton staff at the office, a lot of people working from home. And we've just started implementing a check-in, check-out for anyone who's working from home but doing assertive outreach or any form of outreach. But they check in with us at the start of the appointment and let us know, the estimated time, 15 minutes or so, and that they call or text and check out. So I guess there's that community safety too. I guess the same sort of thing across just, really practicing good hygiene and communicating well with the team around that. We're doing a lot in terms of our communication internally. There's been some really fantastic support that's come through the team. We've been doing morning check-ins and afternoon check-outs, and really just via email and occasionally via video. But there's been lots of humour that's been coming through that, a lot of staff morale. I think of one of our team members who's working from home after coming back from a period overseas, so he's quarantined, and he filmed his commute to work.
That's so
he got on his bicycle and put his helmet on and rode down the hallway. And
I have to admit, I have been loving, this clarity around it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. That social connection and that social solidarity is still there, which I think you've really demonstrated. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and I think it's even stronger. We had a Zoom with managers across the organisation at Jesuit Social Services, and we got to see managers who are working in Alice Springs and New South Wales and have conversations around what they're doing. And there was so much humour in those conversations and a real sense of connectedness and solidarity.
Yeah, amazing. And that maybe we can reflect on that a little bit more in the final question. But what I was just hoping you could give some insight into at the moment is how can people support you, or how can people support the Jesuit aim in terms of advocacy, stigma, resources, volunteering? Is there anything that if people were wanting to have or make a contribution, is there anything that you could link them in with or guide them to?
Yeah, look, I guess at the minute, I think what we're really reflecting on when we think neighbourhood to neighbourhood is in trying to look for ways to increase community compassion. You think of the profile of young people, particularly vulnerable young people with substance use and mental health and, various ways of being in community that aren't always well received or understood by general community.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, during times like this, what would be amazing to see is people's sense of compassion and, you know, just looking out for one another. If there's young people who are looking more vulnerable, or young people who may not look like they're doing the right thing, you know, just having more compassion rather than a judgment towards those young people, wondering what's going on for them rather than judging what's being viewed.
Yeah.
And different ways of expressing emotion, you know, that can seem quite heightened or volatile at times, you know, remaining curious around what's happening there for that person and whether there's support needs for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's just really critical right now.
And that goes well beyond young people. I think it goes
Absolutely.
to anyone and everyone. I'm with you on that. I think people are just coping in the best way they possibly can, and that's going to be a range of different responses for people.
Yes.
But the more we can stay out of judgment and the more we can stay in compassion and understanding,
Absolutely.
I think the more easeful this process will be.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've got our community mental health program as well within Connexions, the psychosocial support. You know, it's effectively a community mental health program.
Yep.
We've got in partnership with CoHealth, and, you know, there'll be a lot of very vulnerable adults with mental health complexities who are facing a high level of isolation right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess it's just looking out for those neighbours and being aware of those individuals when you're in the supermarkets or wherever people are, to, as I say, just trying to practice that compassion and rather than further stigmatising people.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Good call to action. Good call to action. And then our final question, which I think you'll probably have a fair bit to say about, is, you know, do you have or what is your positive reframe? So, you know, notwithstanding obviously the devastating impact that this is having on a lot of people in the community and businesses and you know, individuals, but do you have another way of seeing what possibilities could come out of this for improving the collective condition?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think it's amazing when something becomes restricted in community, how much you realise the value of it. And I think that the interactions between people, how we do band together in the time of crisis, I think is absolutely amazing right now. I think there's so much connection happening between people as we're recognising the value of that connection by not being able to practice that in the normal ways we do.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're learning new IT skills, which will probably stick around too, which is fantastic.
So true.
I think we'll stick to using some of the meeting settings that we've got right now and using our time more effectively. I think there's real skills in that. I think, like I say, we're seeing lots of acts of kindness, opportunities to support each other in community. But one of the big things that stands out for me is thinking about the queues out the front of Centrelink. You know, people who have never needed, or, you know, at least not for a long time, needed the services of Centrelink. It's not their regular daily or monthly experience. And to see people so quickly thrown into that situation and having to rely on a welfare system, I hope once we're on the flip side, on the other side of this and reflecting back, that there remains, again, that sense of compassion to people who that is their daily and weekly experience, and not through faults of their own often, not through lack of trying to find other ways to contribute into society, but, you know, the barriers that are there that are beyond their control. So I hope the situation right now allows people to, you know, hold on to that compassion and that sense of empathy for people going forward.
It has been the ultimate equaliser, has it not?
Absolutely. Yes, you're right. The humanising of what we're seeing right now. I hope that sticks, the lack of othering. And I also just think, in the face of a crisis like this, look how much has been done so quickly and so effectively. Like the collaboration, the way that, you know, resources have been mobilised, the way that we've responded to community need and safety and protection is phenomenal, really, when you step back and look at the many facets of what's happening across our community right now.
Amazing. And I think that big picture is certainly helpful. I think you kind of touched on two really important points, is that the human and that human connection and interface, but also that you know, wider view of what's going on as well. And there are definitely benefits in both of those spaces.
Yes, absolutely. And the common goals, seeing the common goals in that, like you say, you know, the othering that usually happens quite strongly as we protect our own space. I think there is a recognition, you know, even walking around in my neighbourhood here, during the week, you know, there's people who are making eye contact and acknowledging more than I would normally notice. You know, there's a real sense of we're in this together. We are all experiencing this, and let's try and make that easier in the ways we can.
Yeah, and easy for other people rather than just this,
That's right.
you know, that community approach. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm with you. I just hope it sticks.
Yes. We could go into the environmental aspects of that, but we'll leave that for another video.
Yeah. No, totally. But I think there's enough momentum. You know, there seems to be enough momentum of goodwill to reach some kind of tipping point. So, he's hoping that sticks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. It was really great having a chat. And I'll just maybe we'll have a chat offline about what kind of contact we can put in the notes of this video if people want to reach out to you.
Great.
But otherwise, keep doing the amazing work that you're doing, and and hopefully we come out of this in a much better space than we went into it.
Excellent. Good on you, Naomi.
Amazing.
Thanks for your
Thanks,
work.
Julia. Ciao.